So there are a few different types of twins. Monozygotic twins, or identical twins, occur when a zygote splits in two in early development, and each of the resulting zygotes develop into a complete baby. So the cells that split off are quickly replaced without any effect on the fully developed baby. The rate of monozygotic twins is around 4 per 1,000 pregnancies that result in live birth. Monozygotic twins share virtually all the same genetic information, except for any new mutations that can occur after separation. Conjoined twins are twins that are monozygotic, so they originate from the same embryo, but are joined together by shared tissues and organs. Conjoined twins are extremely rare, about 1 in 100,000 births. There are two proposed mechanisms by which conjoined twins are thought to occur. Either an early embryo splits incompletely, or two early embryos that have split fuse back together later in development. Conjoined twins can be conjoined in different locations. Depending on where they are conjoined and what structures they share, some conjoined twins can be surgically separated. Dizygotic twins, or fraternal twins, occur when two separate eggs are ovulated and fertilized by different sperm, and then implant in the uterus. This can happen spontaneously if a female has two eggs that are ovulated in one cycle. The occurrence of dizygotic twins occurring without medical intervention varies and appears to be influenced by both genetic and environmental factors. Central Africa has the highest twinning rate in the world, with the country of Benin having close to 3% of babies born as twins. In other populations, the rate is much lower. The possibility of dizygotic twins is greater if the mother is taking certain types of fertility drugs that can induce multiple ovulation. Additionally, patients undergoing in vitro fertilization sometimes choose to have two or more embryos transferred to the uterus, making twins or higher order multiples like triplets, quadruplets, etc. more likely. Dizygotic twins are as genetically related to each other as any other sibling pair. And the frequency of higher order multiple births is very low, around 5 for every 100,000 live births. Higher order multiples can occur spontaneously without fertility treatments and can occur through monozygotic, dizygotic, or a combination of twinning events. In recent decades, the frequency of dizygotic twins and higher order multiple births has increased with the increased use of fertility drugs and procedures such as in vitro fertilization. The risks to both mothers and babies associated with twin pregnancies are much higher than those of single pregnancies. In fact, more than half of all twins are born preterm before 37 weeks. And while not all preterm births have lasting effects, preterm birth is associated with a suite of possible complications, from short-term challenges to breathing and temperature regulation to long-term physical or cognitive effects. For example, the risk of cerebral palsy is about 0.2% in singleton births, but 1.4% for twins and 4.5% for triplets. Multiple pregnancies are also associated with higher rates of preeclampsia, a condition that is associated with high maternal blood pressure and decreased organ function. And in severe cases, it can be fatal to both the mother and baby. So I linked a couple of videos here so you can see how the organs shift during pregnancy, and you can see the anatomical process that happens with birth. But during pregnancy, the female body goes through quite a bit of changes. There are many other physiological changes that happen in a female body when pregnant. Many of the pregnancy side effects are surprising. So Early in pregnancy, the mother might find herself out of breath after relatively mild physical exertion. One of the reasons for this is that increasing progesterone levels in the blood cause the body to respond differently to carbon dioxide in the bloodstream. Also, throughout pregnancy, hemoglobin, which is the oxygen binding protein in blood, in the fetus binds oxygen much more tightly than does the mother's hemoglobin. Therefore, the fetus is taking oxygen away from the mother's blood, causing the mother to breathe more deeply to replenish her oxygen. A newly discovered side effect of pregnancy is that some of the fetal cells will wind up in the mother's tissues. In a recent study, researchers looked for Y chromosome containing cells in mothers who had given birth to sons, and they found them in every tissue type they investigated. The cells were present in low frequency, but the fact that they were there indicated that these cells had migrated from the fetus into the mother's tissues. It is unknown how long after pregnancy the cells persist in the mother's body and what effects these cells may have. So then we get to birth. At around 40 weeks of gestation, a series of signals begin to ready the fetus for delivery and the female body for labor. While the exact timing and sequence of events of labor can vary, labor and delivery is a classic positive feedback loop where the early portions of labor amplify and then further the onset of labor. Early labor can last between hours and weeks. In the early stages of labor, there are mild uterine contractions that will move the baby's head against the cervix. The pressure of the baby's head stretch and begin to open the cervix. Nerve cells in the cervix detect the stretching and then send signals to the hypothalamus in the brain to secrete the hormone oxytocin into the mother's circulation. Oxytocin triggers the uterus to contract more forcefully, pushing the baby's head further against the cervix and causing it to open further and signal for more oxytocin release. Uterine contractions eventually push the baby out through the open cervix and vagina. Once the baby is delivered, additional uterine contractions will push the placenta out as well, and this expelled placenta is referred to as the afterbirth. Oxytocin, which is the same hormone that stimulated uterine contractions, also triggers the letdown of milk from the breasts during lactation, and nipple stimulation increases oxytocin release. So when a baby can nurse immediately after delivery, it can help stimulate uterine contractions that will expel the placenta or afterbirth. The early milk that a newborn receives is called colostrum, and it contains high levels of antibodies and white blood cells from the mother. These can help the baby avoid infections. In addition to these immunity benefits, lactation is important in forging maternal and infant bonds. The hormone oxytocin, which was involved in the initiation of lactation, is also involved in establishing this early attachment.